Hey you guys, what's up? We are back with another LCS week-by-week coverage video for you all with Pro Gamer Academy. And there's just so much stuff to talk about today. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the drama or what's going on. Ton of roster drama, a ton of stuff with Dignitas, Dardoch, etc. But I wanted to cover it today, so let's get into it. So checking in at Friday, June 25th, going through a bit of the schedule. Couple storylines this week. Obviously, aside from some of the drama, which we're going to talk about later, Team Liquid appear to be kind of coming back to form. CLG are off of their, they had their insane 3-0 week, and then kind of back to disappointing us all this week. So kind of got our hopes up, it feels like. Other than that, Immortals kind of rising up through the ranks, proving that they're, they've learned and they're improving a little bit. And then, teams like FlyQuest and Golden Guardians and Dignitas still just really struggling there at the bottom. To start off our week, we had TL versus EG, and Team Liquid is expected to win here, don't get me wrong. I think I had higher expectations for EG, because, in the previous week they had beat C9, and C9 and TL are at the same record right now, 19 wins, 11 losses, so they feel very similar, especially if you consider, what's going on with their rosters. Like, they're both not quite at full strength. Even though, C9 has Ven back, they're still kind of trying to work out their synergy, and it's basically like they're a brand new roster again. So C9 obviously, as well as Team Liquid, both not performing quite as well as you may expect them to, but TL got the win here. Moving forward into the weekend, we had 100 Thieves picking up a win on Dignitas. That's completely expected. C9, beating up Golden Guardians. Immortals taking that win off of CLG, and that one felt bad because CLG really, really needed that win. Their record as of this weekend is 9 wins, 21 losses, so like, just really not great. And you would at least hope that they would, put up more of a fight to Immortals. But teams maybe figured out what CLG wanted to do a little bit. CLG had their 3-0 week off the back of that Vi pick, and essentially what their drafting philosophy was like, we're picking all of these engaged champions, along with like these slightly off meta jungle picks, and they were just running at people and it was working. And then teams kind of took a step back, and this week they looked completely different. Moving forward though, TSM, just to cap off that Friday, they were able to get the win off of FlyQuest, just beating them up, no problems there. FlyQuest has really kind of been a disappointment, I think, throughout this split, and really last split as well. Jose Diodo came in, and I know that the team definitely got pieced apart coming into the spring split. Yeah, they had their greatest pieces taken away, Santorin and some of these other players that are just superstars, so they had to rebuild. I think I at least was one of the people that saw players like Jose Diodo coming into the team, and I keep saying Jose Diodo because he's really I think the biggest star that they have, at least in terms of name recognition and an existing fan base. Jose Diodo is an extremely marketable player, right? I think people were just expecting maybe a little more. Honestly, I expected them to do sort of what Dignitas had done this season. I didn't expect not this season, sorry, but like last split, so essentially this season, where, they had a low-budget team, but they were able to make things work. And kind of what Immortals is doing now, even though Immortals still feels like they're a ways off from contesting some of the whatever top 4 teams. But plenty to talk about there as we move throughout the weekend. Team Liquid beating up CLG, Dignitas actually getting a win off of FlyQuest, which was surprising, but good for them. 100 Thieves beating Cloud9, sort of what you would expect. I mean, the records are very close, but 100 Thieves do look better right now. TSM actually dropping the game to Evil Geniuses was just so shocking. TSM had the opportunity to put themselves in first. They would have been 22 wins as of this weekend if they had won this game. And you kind of have to wonder, when is this roster gonna, when are any of these top rosters gonna stop dropping these random games to teams like EG, or like, I'm curious as to, before we get to playoffs, is there gonna be a situation where one of these teams is actually able to, cement themselves as the top team in the league? Because right now, and actually throughout the entirety of the spring split, it felt like, oh, we have like these 3, 4, 5 teams that are just at the top and all competing with each other week by week. When are we going to see a team actually just take the league by the reins, as it happened in the past with teams like TSM and Team Liquid, with these insane records just not losing? I haven't seen it yet, and I'm curious to see if it will ever happen. By the time that this split ends. I think that out of the standings right now, like talking about standings, obviously now is the perfect time to go through it. TSM is tied for first with 100 Thieves. Behind them, it's Cloud9 in third/fourth with Team Liquid. And then behind them, it's Evil Geniuses, Dignitas, Immortals, CLG, FlyQuest, and Golden Guardians. So, you're hoping that it's one of these top 4 teams that's going to pull through. Actually, maybe EG comes out of nowhere and just starts, getting their shit together, and Jizuke stops running it down randomly in games. I haven't seen it yet, and I don't think we'll see it, but maybe it will happen. One of these teams needs to figure out the rest of the league, right? And I'm not exactly sure how it happens. I mean, I think if we had a team that was close to doing this, it was Cloud9. And then obviously, Cloud9 went to MSI, they got their shit wrecked, and then I think that they just kind of lost their confidence. I know that there's some things with coaching, and obviously Ven got subbed out, but it feels like the orgs are doing it to themselves. And while we're on the topic of orgs, we can move on over to some of the drama with Dardoch, for example. I don't know, all of this, I don't know how caught up you guys are, but essentially, Dignitas came into this split, they built their roster around Dardoch and Aframu, correct? And they, well, not even this split, before, right? So when they had this roster beforehand, like, that's what they said. They said, like, all right, like, we're going to build this roster on Dardoch and Aframu. These two guys are veterans. We're sticking with these guys. And Spring Split, Dignitas balled out. Obviously, they didn't do as well in the Spring Split playoffs as maybe you would have hoped if you're that organization. But still, you didn't put a lot of money into these, into the players that you have. You have Soligo, you have Fake God, you have some of these rookies, some of these up-and-comers, you have Neo. And all of these rookies and up-and-comers are overperforming by, like, any metrics, right? They're taking wins here and there. You were beating, like, I think that in the Spring Split, Dignitas didn't drop a single game to TSM, even though they were clowny games both times, or however many times they played. And obviously, you really didn't look great in the playoffs, but then you come into the summer and you start off okay. I mean, there were some issues here and there, but then all of a sudden, like, here's this decision about Soligo getting benched and Yasui being brought up, and you kind of wonder what the reasoning was there, right? But it's like, okay, maybe they have some good reasoning for it, which I'll explain later. They talked about it. Yasui comes on in, and then Dignitas starts doing really poorly, and then all of a sudden they just bench Dardoch, right? And we got news the week before, or when I'm recording this, we got news that Dardoch is. At first they said, okay, we're going to bench him or we're moving him down to Academy, and then they announced that they found a new Academy jungler, and now it's Dardoch is out of the organization, yada yada yada. Dardoch's a toxic player, but you really have to wonder what transpired, right? Because Dardoch liked Sligo a lot, from what I know. He worked well with them. And Sligo and Yasui are very different players. Sligo, was he, like, stomping lane, or was he owning these games? No, and I think Sligo has a lot of room to improve as a player. But, Dignitas was a team that maybe they were inconsistent, but they still, like, they had these crazy games where they're team fighting and they're drafting and everything just came together for them. And they ruined that chemistry. And essentially just threw away a bunch of wins for the rest of the split. Like, I don't think we'll see Dignitas beat any of these top teams. If they do, I'll be here eating my words. But I don't know. This kind of problem is so. What's the way to put it? Like, it really feels like the management did it to themselves. And so when you see these cases like Team Liquid and like Cloud9 where they're benching out Fari or benching Sven, given we don't have all the answers and we don't have all the information, but it still really, really makes you wonder, when you're a fan and you want to see NA be competitive, it makes you wonder if the organization, like the management in these organizations is what's holding us back. So, something to think about there. I want to move on to the matchups for next week and kind of talk about what I think is going to happen, but if you guys are fans, I would really implore you to think about this stuff, because NA has had a long time to become a competitive region, and we're still stuck. And at some point, it makes you wonder, maybe we're never going to get there. Maybe it's our management. It's the way that we're treating our players. It's all stuff to think about. So.
right before the dragon even arrives, and they get to walk away. Unless you base check brute force in, Cloud9 looking